actually making something that no one else is making. No one else will make it.
I cannot wait to see this. What is this, man? This thing's huge.
You know, it's a 1996 International 4700.
You want to fix up a dump truck?
Huh? This truck is the biggest and heaviest that we've done to date.
Everything on this thing was just pie cut and welded together.
This is way above par.
That's mine? Wow!
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
As you can see, we're really busy around here. The parking lot's always full. You know, each time's, starts and finished really quick. Sometimes, a vehicle comes in and gets put on pause. Life happens, right? So you just want to finish that thing. You want to get it out the door, but, sometimes it doesn't happen like that. It eats at me for sure. Everybody sees it. Why is that there? What's going on with that? Eventually that thing will come back around. You get it going again. You finally get that thing finished. It's a definite sense of accomplishment. Me and Sean go way back since high school. We did a body drop back in '95 on his Chevy S10. Sean's been waiting to do another build for a while, and I think I finally have the right project for him.
This it? All right.
The owner is just way too overwhelmed with this truck, so it's a perfect opportunity for Sean to buy it and take it over.
And I've always liked a unibody, ever since I've seen the one y'all built years ago.
Yeah, they're super rare. This is something, you see these body styles a lot, but nothing like that. It's unique. Most of this truck is a 1968 Chevy C10, but with a little twist. It's a 68 Chevy Caddy. We built a whole new frame, front to back, that's already built. There's new doors, new fenders. There's a late model 5.3 in it, 24 by 10s, 24 15s in the back with a 9-inch in it that's already been narrowed. The old dash has been cut out and a 56 Chevy dash put in it. This thing is a perfect start for you because you can put your own personal touch on it, with the right colors, right wheels, tires, and getting this thing running. It'd be a cool project.
I like the fact that there's a lot of stuff started on it, but I'm going to be able to finish it my way, the way I want to do it.
I know how you like to color match.
Well, you got to keep my shirt and shoes matching, keep it fresh.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So we can bring a little bit of color inside the interior, match the chassis color, and have a little contrast with the body color.
Yeah, I like that.
I see Sean liking this thing. Hopefully he can see, past all the work that had to be done and just see the vision for this project. On the back of this thing, I think something that would be really cool to really set this thing apart even more would be building an aluminum bed cover on this. It just continues that smoothness all the way down from the front bumper all the way to the back.
Keep it real clean.
Exactly.
First time I saw Bill was first day of my freshman year of high school. He pulled up in his long bed, lowered, square body Chevy truck. I was like, man, I don't know who that is, but we got to get in with him. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Everybody that has a car shop, automotive repair shop, custom shop, there's always a project or two that's sitting around back that just doesn't quite get finished. This one's no different. Project like this, they snowball into dreaming big. And when you dream big, sometimes your pocketbook can't hang with the dreams. You come in for one thing, next thing you know, you're building a chassis for it, changing the motor, and totally stripping it down to where you're at. This is a prime example for that. I'm digging it out of the back and getting going on it, man. I've got high hopes for it.
So the rumor's true?
You got it, man. My boy Sean's taking it over.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going to dig this thing out and get this thing going and finish it up. New owner, new plan. You know, a normal C10 truck has the body and then the bed totally separated. You know, we made this thing a unibody. We welded bed sides right to the cab, a custom tailgate skin, smooth bed floor, a 56 Chevy dash, and a 68 front end. You know, we got a work to be done. I mean, just from the front of this thing, you know, getting the grill, all the sheet metal back on this thing and seeing what we have, what we still need to get. New glass all the way around, flush mount, you know, something that looks really nice. So you already know Sean's style. You know, every time he comes in, he's got to have the shirt and shoes matching, you know.
So we're going to paint it yellow wheels with green trim on it. Typically his favorite colors.
You know, Sean's got to coordinate, so interior is going to match the engine, chassis, you know, make everything color coordinate, which leads to the bed, which me and you, buddy, are going to build a bed cover for this thing out of aluminum, you know, flush with the top of the bed, something that just makes this thing slick all the way from the front to the back.
I mean, it's crazy to think you unibodied this thing 7 years ago.
It's been a minute.
7-year build.
This thing has a ton of work and a ton of memories in it. You know, we got a huge head start. We still have a lot of challenges in front of us for sure. Me and you start doing the bed cover in the back.
I want to see where we get the head start from.
The custom bed cover we're making is going to sit flush with the top of the bed, but it's also going to open and close. So I had Jesse make some cool custom hinges.
Did all right.
He did good, man. I know this thing's a pain in the butt to make, man. It takes forever. Rudy, the first thing we need to do is make a brace from side to side that holds the hinges. All we have to do is weld it in place and start building our bed cover.
All right, so the first thing I got to do is cut down my 1.5 inch square tubing to fit inside the bed. Then we'll go ahead and start making our modifications inside the square tubing so we can fit our new bed cover hinges. Got my tabs tacked in. Looks like it's going to be right where we need it. Our hinge is giving us enough lift and enough articulation, so this thing is ready to go.
Man, this is exactly what we needed, Rudy. This metal work that's already was here is a little inconsistent. That'll create a lot of body work later, so why don't we just cap it with a piece of sheet metal to go from this edge all the way over and then down and have a little lip out here. Then it'll be laser straight all the way around this thing. Then we'll have a nice bed for the bed cover to sit right onto. We'll just cut this sucker here. This is going to make for a lot faster installation, and you know, there's little ways to make things easier. You learn as you go, you know, all the little tricks of the trade. And one thing we learned is not just tacking, looking down it, stepping back and maneuvering. Use a straight edge. So we're clamping a straight edge. We know it's straight both ways, this way and that way. There's no second guess. There's no wondering if it's right. You know exactly. You can just tack down it, keep rolling, go to the next step. And this is just one little trick of the trade.
So before we slap our aluminum sheet metal on top, we need to build a frame for this thing. We don't want the sheet metal going all wonky on us when we're opening it up. So that's why we place these ribs across so we can use it to simulate the bottom of the sheet metal. So all I have to do is just mark it, take the hinge off, trim it, come back and put it on, and get my actual frame piece, and tack them up, and then we'll move on from there. Got my hinges marked up, so all we're gonna do now is take them off, go ahead and trim them up. I left enough room on the bottom and back side of the hinge so we get enough weld on there, give us enough strength to hold this bed cover. Alright, we'll get our top rib here to simulate our aluminum sheet metal. Push the hinges all the way up, make full contact with them.
That's good, Rudy. Very, very good. This is the most critical stage of making everything right. That way the gaps stay perfect, everything stays the same all the way around, and you don't damage paint when it goes up and down 20 times. So it should be closed, and we'll open that sucker up. Works good. I mean, just to this point is a ton of work that nobody's ever gonna know, but if this isn't right, that affects everything else. So now the rest is just work. You know, just like any part of a project, you got to have a plan. And our plan on this is building from the inside out. So we need to build all the framework first, make sure all the kinks are worked out before we put the final little skin on the top of it. Finished welding out the bed cover frame on the C10 unibody. You know, to make sure this thing has plenty of room to close, we're going to shave off the top of the wheel tubs.
All right, so now we got our bed cover mocked up. Everything fits nice and good. The only issue we're seeing is there isn't that much clearance between the bed cover and the wheel well. So what we're going to do here, fill it back in nice and flat, and that's going to give us plenty of clearance between the wheel well and the bed cover. I got my lines drawn out of how much I want to cut off. I'm anticipating that this 4-inch cut off the top of this round wheel well, probably going to take it down about a 1/4 inch. Next step is make my nice flat pieces out of 16 gauge sheet metal. I'm just trying to straighten out my panels here because obviously we went from a curved edge to what's now going to be a straight edge. So I just want to make sure and get my sheet metal nice and flat, so whenever I put my flat piece in, we'll get a good, nice transition from curved to flat. So as I'm tacking my filler piece in, I'm using these super strong magnets. This helps me make a nice flat top as I'm applying pressure to my filler piece to my round fender well. All I have to do is fully weld it all out, grind it smooth, and this baby's all done. Let's see how much clearance we got. So this would be the bottom of our aluminum. Looks all good. So now, I'm gonna go ahead and throw the frame on there, skin it with the aluminum.
When you've been building custom trucks as long as I have, you kind of get in the habit of saying this is gonna be a big build. They're big builds and there's just huge builds. And yeah, there's a difference. Today I'm out here at Ocean Corp to see my boy John Wood. What's happening, John?
Oh, hey, Bill, how are you?
You know, John runs a training school for underwater welders and commercial divers.
Hey, man, how you doing?
What's happening, man? Yeah.
Good to see you, man.
What is this, man? This thing's huge. Where'd you get this thing at?
I bought it from Florida Highway Department. It was an asphalt truck.
You want to fix up a dump truck?
Huh?
Man. You know, it's a 1996 International 4700. You know, that's usually used for hauling, commercial applications, or even as a dump truck. You know, I can say for sure we never customize one of these. For starters, I don't even think we have a lift big enough for this.
I just liked the look of it. I thought this is kind of like the world's first jumbo pickup truck.
We got an old highway department dump truck that you want to make cool.
Yes, sir. That's it. Something
yeah, that's
cool.
all.
Yeah, that's it. That's no lift for you. You can do anything. I got the inspiration. I wanted a big, kind of funny monster military high water vehicle, and I liked the shape of the crew cab on this truck.
What are you going to use this thing for?
Marketing for the company. I want to be able to skid mount diving stuff or NDT stuff somebody can do with a little creativity with a fun truck. And it'll be a toy too. I mean, you can't minimize the toy value.
Right, right. Man, let's check out the back of this thing.
Check this thing out.
Yeah, this got to go.
Yeah.
Just take this whole dump bed off and just start fresh.
Right.
Shorten the wheelbase, put some air suspension on it, make you a nice new bed, something you can take on and off, you know, easily.
Can't forget the cool factor though. It's got to be cool.
Well, for sure.
I'd like the dump truck to attract attention. I want it to be cool above all. It's got to be flashy and fun and interesting and different. It's got to be different.
What's in the inside of this thing?
Oh, that's a different story.
Man, there's a whole lot of ugly and yellow.
Yeah.
Man, John, once you pull up in this thing, it's going to draw a crowd immediately. When you open the door on this,
No, I get
you
it.
can't have this.
Can't have that.
We got to start off by, you know, covering these seats, putting some carpet in this thing, make it look a lot better. I mean, something you can show off. What's under the hood?
Big diesel. What more do you want?
Shoot, how many miles on this thing?
120,000. So that's not
Ain't
bad
even
at all.
broke in yet.
No.
This is a turbocharged 444E. It's a million miles. Maybe get rid of the water hose and the electrical tape.
I kind of like that electric tape hanger. That's kind of nice, yeah.
Look at the front of this thing.
I take it you're not digging on my school bus yellow.
Man, we got to get rid of this.
No bueno.
No. You thinking of any colors or anything you want to see on this?
Whatever you think is going to pop and be interesting and fun and exciting.
So you're trusting me on this one?
Pretty much.
I'll come up with something cool
You come up with
for
something
sure, man.
Yeah.
For sure. Man, this is going to be a fun little project, man. The only thing is, this thing isn't going to fit on my record.
No.
I guess I'll see you at the shop. Huh?
You want me to sneak it over there?
Extensive has worked on a ton of vehicles over the years, like Kodiaks, F650s, a lot of big vehicles, but this truck is the biggest and heaviest that we've done to date. Dealing with the size and weight of this vehicle adds to the challenge of the whole overall build. One of the first things you do before you even get started tearing anything apart is just taking into consideration the jacks you have to use, the jack stands, the impacts that you use on a vehicle this heavy, not to mention, picking the right suspension, building a 4-link heavy enough, the lift high enough and sturdy enough to hold. I think I'm absolutely crazy. They already do anyway, this is probably going to prove it.
What in the world we got here now? Ain't no telling. We gotta climb up this thing? Why do we have a dump truck?
This old Mr. Wood's new project, unique guy. Want something unique?
True John Wood fashion. He's always had some crazy idea of what he wanted.
Well, that's the problem. We got a dump truck, but he doesn't want a dump truck. Oh, Mr. Wood wants something just to go anywhere, do anything, all-purpose, militaristic, cool-looking truck. First thing we'll do is dump the dump bed. It's got an extra long wheelbase. We're going to shorten the wheelbase, bring it down to a 60-inch cabbed axle, and put a stake bed on it. We definitely got to upgrade the suspension on this thing, give it a nice look. Just get the stance right with the militaristic wheels and tires, helper bags on the back so he can still haul whatever he wants to haul. Get the mechanics right underneath the hood. Somebody had some creative fixes underneath the hood, make sure all that's right and do something with the interior. There's a whole lot of ugly inside this thing right here.
That reminds me of my old high school bus. I bet it smells like your high school bus too. I've been trying to forget that smell for years.
Let's get this thing in front of the shop. Let's get it all tore down. Just get this thing as light. As is, the International weighs well north of 10,000 pounds, which is past the top capacity of our lift. So I'm going to have little one cut off the bed and boxes, and hopefully it'll get us right under.
We're about to cut off this dump truck bed with a torch. It's too much thick plate, too many old bolts. It's better to just get rid of it with some nice fire. It's a good thing we got forklifts so we can get the bed up and we can see exactly what we gotta cut. Yeah, I gotta get that pin out to release the hydraulic cylinder and get this damn bed off. Free at last.
When we pull the bed off most trucks, we can just manually lift it. But we got to get creative to lift this bed and just lift it safely.
Took 2 forklifts, a little bit of fire, and some help. But we got the dump bed off. Now it's time to get these boxes off. I like to live life on the edge. Stripped away from the truck. Now we gotta see what this thing weighs.
This lift is rated for a maximum 10,000 pounds. So we're gonna take the extra precaution of have this thing weighed so we know exactly what we're working with before we even put it on the lift. And if it's still too heavy, we're gonna have to go back to the cutting board. Anytime you take on a model vehicle that you've never worked with before, especially the size of this International dump truck, it's going to create all new challenges for us. What that means in reality, we got to do a lot of setup work before we even start to build.
Got some bad news.
10,020.
Yeah, we're 20 over.
But you weighed it with you in there, right?
Right.
So you weigh about 120, something like that. So
I guess so.
100 pounds under.
We're good to go then.
Our lift's rated for 10,000 pounds. We got 9,920 pound truck. So we're about to put it to the test and see if it's really rated for what that sticker says right now. 15 inches.
Fitting?
Fitting. You know, pushing and pulling on it, its weight can shift, especially with something this size. It can get really dangerous really quick. So we're welding 15-inch extensions from the frame directly to the lip, so this thing won't move anywhere.
I need a favor, amigo. Oh, I need it welded like that.
You know, with a build this big, you have to build parts to be able to build the parts to be able to build it big.
Vayas con Dios.
So just like life, everything has to be in balance. The ideal spot for the extensions to go is where the lift is centered to the cab, so the weight of the engine doesn't rock forward and the weight of the rear doesn't rock back. Alright, moment of truth finally. We're gonna get this thing in the air. It's 10,000 pounds, 10,000 pound lift. We should be good. I'm gonna double check the front. I'm a little nervous. I gotta make sure that everything's good before I go up in the air and 10,000 pounds over me. I'll get crushed like a little L1 pancake. That's good. I'll work comfortable right there. There's a lot of weight up here. Everything we do from here on out has to be very particular so that we make sure we don't go too much overweight or overweight at all. It's hard. One tiny mistake and we're gonna have a huge problem.
We made the bed cover hinges, frame, and skin for the 68 unibody. Now Rudy and I can install the struts. Think that's gonna work, man? Cool, it ought to get plenty of height. I know they're gonna be strong enough.
Oh, yeah.
They look like you're skiing right there.
All right, guys.
All right. All right, man. Thank you, man. Good work, Jesse. It's good, man. Thank you.
All right, man. See you guys' hands now.
Let's see if them shocks work. Man, looks good, man. There's plenty of room. Backpack, cooler.
Tote full of shoes. He'll be happy about that.
Yeah, his whole lineup of shoes. That'll work good, man. Well, you know, last thing, getting the skin on. Once the skin's on, that's it. You know, the old truck's been sitting around the shop for a couple of years. You know, it's really good to get it back out, get it going again, get this thing finished up. I mean, it's going to be a really cool truck once it's all done. For support off and start screwing the metal down. There's nothing to hold the frame perfectly flat. So we're just putting a couple of little spacers in here. So then when we put our sheet on it, we can put pressure drilling down, and it's not going to push our frame down, leave it sagging down like that.
Man, for once, it's starting to look like a complete truck, huh?
Yeah, looking good, man. We pre-marked where the bottom framework is, so we're just marking so we know where the center of the frame is on the sheet. So we're gonna pre-drill the sheet, run tech screws in it so everything fits nice and tight. And then we can pull the whole thing off, and then we can get Jesse to TIG it to the framework so it's one complete bed cover then. This thing will be ready for body work. You know, Chevy never made a C10 truck with a cab welded to the bed. You know, it took a lot of work getting here, but to make all those lines look right, it's going to take a lot of body work. And with everything we got going on at the shop, we're going to need some help. We're going to need some help bad. Man, what's up, dog? Good to see you. You know, it's not every day you can just pick up the phone and call one of the best body and paint guys around. And him just get in his truck and trailer is a true friend. Man, you saved me once again, man. I mean, I know Tennessee hidden right around the corner.
Man, it was right down the street, you know what I mean? 12 hours around the corner, but we got it. You know what I mean? What y'all do with this one this time?
I just want to start totally fresh with this thing.
Bare metal up.
Blast it, spray it, make the gaps right, make this thing look good, make us look good.
You got it, man. That's what we do.
Thank you. You know, Zane's going to give this truck a lot of attention at his shop and then bring it right back to us.
This is a tremendous amount of work. This thing's been here since I first started hanging out. And it's just sat outside and been neglected for all these years. You know, I mean, it's super cool to see it finally getting, you know, the love that it deserves. I'm just going to hammer down, drive through the night, and get back home so we can get going on this thing first thing Monday morning.
C10 unibody is getting bodyworked by Zane, John's going to create a seamless look on the inside of the cab with a handmade speaker box.
With it being a unibody truck, we're going to take the subwoofer box and actually build it into the truck and mold it in so there's no seams or anything. It'll all be part of the truck and we'll wrap it all as one piece. We'll do some router work, we're going to make some trim rings, some base plates, stack this thing up, give it some depth, some contour, work it in so it's not just a mud work. The important thing here is to lay it as smooth as you possibly can so you don't have to sand as much. It's probably one of my least favorite things to do, but one of the things that I have to do the most. What we'll do now is we'll just take that, let that round dry, and then we'll finish out the other side and it should come out pretty easy.
We put a lot of different truck components together to make this C10 unibody. So all the bodywork has to be on point to make this thing perfect. Our guys in Dunlap, Tennessee are doing just that.
Pretty big day at the shop. Tons of bodywork going into this thing. We had the truck all blasted down to bare metal. The guys built the bed cover from scratch. Very nice stuff. So what we're going to do now is just perfect what they had already started. So what we're doing now is taping off the jam to get the bed cover to meet the bed sides. It's a little low in a couple of spots that a little light filler will take care of. Don't be afraid to use tape. Using tape doesn't make you not cool. It makes you smart because you're not having to create more work for yourself and taking all this Bondo out of these jams that are already straight. It's not broke, so don't fix it. Wiping a panel this big, you've got to do it in sections just so you can concentrate on over here instead of all of this all at once. So we're going to move into, when you look across the top of it, it just looks like it just came that way. We round all of our edges off. Paint won't stick to a hard, sharp edge. So we'll come in there and make sure we keep those round. We got pretty much the majority of the bed cover bodywork, so we're going to use this little gap checker here. This is going to tell us how big the gap is and make sure that it's straight all the way down. We've got a 4 all the way down. So this tells us that the bed cover is evenly gapped all the way down the bedside. This beats eyeball and this takes all the guessing game out of it. Spend you a couple bucks, get you one of these to make sure that your gaps are perfect. So now what we're going to do is get it off of the truck, do a little bit of final sand in there, pick it apart, make sure we didn't miss nothing and get this thing in primer.
Because this frame on the International dump truck is so long, we can't even close the bay door. It just sticks out. So for now, Little One's going to relocate the axle and make a rough cut to the frame. You know, we'll finalize the length of the frame, then we'll cap it.
Because we got to move the rear axle forward, we got to take apart the whole leaf springs, back half of the drive shaft, all these hydraulic hoses, wiring. Once it's all done, we'll be able to close the door and get our shoulder wheel. We're going to slide the whole assembly together. Brother, thank you, thank you, thank you. You got a big truck, short wheelbase. That's cool as hell.
Yo!
What's happening, man? You doing good?
Man, I'm doing good. How's things down there?
Couldn't be better.
Hey, it's color time.
You got it. Sean wants his C10 unibody to be painted white. You know, a white truck is difficult to really stand out from a crowd. So I asked Zane to come up with something really special for this white and put a little something extra in the mix.
I'm gonna go to work.
Thank you.
You know, days like today, you know, we're really excited to get to do something different. There's so many colors out there that it's hard to stand out and be different. It's something else, man. It's gonna blow them away.
This is Lumicode. What it does is it just crushed mirrors. It reflects the light in low light conditions so you can see it more clearly.
So when the light hits this at nighttime, like it's just gonna glow like the emergency stickers and stuff.
Like a street light. In the daylight, they'll knock your eyes out.
At nighttime, this will knock your eyes out.
It will.
This is pretty nasty, you know what I mean?
It's pretty cool.
I'm freaking pumped, man. Let's get this thing painted. Yeah, I've been doing this a long time, so it's like fun to be impressed by something. Nothing wows us anymore. You know, it's usually the same stuff, different day. I cannot wait to see this.
It's been a little over a month since Zane started working on the C10, and today's the day he's bringing it back. and I get to see this thing in person.
What it do?
What's happening? I really appreciate you taking this on, man.
You know, I love my away games at your place, but we got to do this one at home, and I think we knocked it out of the park.
Man, I'm ready to check this thing out.
Let's open it up.
Man. Woo. Turn right a little bit. Turn left a little bit. There you go.
What you think about it?
Man, this thing looks better than good. Looks like it's been dipped.
This is the brightest white that we could have possibly put on it with little crushed mirror flakes in it. I mean, this thing just dances in the sunlight.
Sean can't not like this thing.
And if Sean don't like it, call me. I'll be the first one to buy it.
All right, I know you're ready to get back.
I'm out of here.
We got a lot to do to it now, too. It's been a few years since we built the custom chassis and suspension for this truck. We're going to pull it all apart and powder coat it a dark red to contrast this white. Everything still looks good. A couple little things we'll change up and freshen up and make it just like brand new, but this thing's gonna start coming together here real soon. While the frame's at the powder coat, he's working on some custom kick panels.
You know, there's a lot of different ways we can go with these kick panels, but the main thing is that we make sure the design kind of flows with the rest of the truck. We have the carpet that's going to be on the bottom of our doors, so we want to continue that into here, and then make a cool little shape that's going to kind of match the rest of the vehicle that's going to hold our speakers. Now we rough cut that, set up the router, and go to that. Puzzle, man. So we kind of set it up. We got our base, we got our baffle for our speakers, and we got our trim ring that goes up here. The speaker's actually going to mount from the rear in there just like that. So we can build this whole thing on the table. We'll fill in this back area right around. Slightly score this on the back side, allow it to bend without. All right, we got it all wrapped around with our panel board here. Now all we got to do is get it all mudded up, wrap it, and we're done with these kicks.
Since I'm actually going to take this box and mold it in and make it part of the truck, what we're going to do is take this, make it solid one piece, get this screwed into place, and then we'll come in with some panel board and start molding this thing in. We're going to actually wrap the whole back of the truck with the box and all at one time, so there's no seam, just kind of follow along with the idea of the unibody. So now we'll just start making pieces to get the sides filled in. So what I'll do is I'll use some chipboard. There'll be no separation from the body to the box all the way around to the back of this truck, so that'll look pretty cool. When I look at a space that I'm trying to design out and figure out what's going on with it, just kind of keep in mind body lines, the style cues, and things like that from the vehicle, and just kind of incorporate that into what you're building, and just let it kind of flow through and just create something, because you're actually making something that no one else is making. No one else will make it. It's one of a kind. You're just putting your own spin and your own thoughts of these things, so there's really no wrong way to go about it as long as you get to the final product that you're after.
The frame and suspension are back from powder coat on the C10 unibody. Man, this thing looks even better than I thought it would. You know, with an all-white truck, it's really, really important to pick an accent color that's really going to stand out. We definitely achieved that. I mean, this is way above par. I mean, this red is actually a couple of colors in one. It's got a chrome base over a transparent red, and it really, really, really looks good.
We hand-built this frame years ago. Now, to get all the components on the chassis and watch it go up and down with the motor on it, something I didn't think I was going to see. This was just a stock piece of 2x3, 2x4. Everything on this thing was just pie cut and welded together, and it just gives you a great pride knowing that it's rolling down the road 80, 90 miles an hour, carrying somebody's family next to you, and it's just rolled real good. Now we have the mock-up wheels on. We have a complete rolling chassis.
What do you think, buddy?
Does it look good?
After so many years of waiting, I can't tell you how satisfying it is to see this truck finally coming together. Mount mount glass, custom wheels and tires, and finally, it's time to give this thing a new home.
I was 22 when I first started welding. I had a friend call me. He said, "Hey man, you want to come weld?" And from there, I began MIG welding carbon steel, then moved up from there to MIG welding aluminum, then from MIG welding aluminum to TIG welding aluminum, just worked my way up. I grew up here in Houston, just right down here from the shop, about 5 minutes away. As a kid, growing up, hearing about Bill, I always heard he was the best man at bagging trucks. I mean, I used to come with my friends, check out the shop, or come out by all the time. Then years passed, and never in my life did I think I would ever be here working for Bill. One of my favorite builds ever done here at the shop was Marco's red Z01 Camaro, because it was aluminum chassis, and man, I got to take the whole thing out. It took me hours, but it was done right. When I see like a build that I worked on the road, I always tell my wife, "Hey, look, I welded that part on it, I welded this on it, I welded the gas tank on it." It never gets old, man. I love it. I just love welding.
Man, that place always hits the spot, man. I'm so full, I don't even want to go back to work. I don't know what you're about to do.
I'll get back there eventually.
It's always good to finish a project up, especially when one's been lingering around the shop for so long. And what really tops it off is finishing the build for a good friend of yours.
Got to get over here and work on some of this stuff you got sitting around the parking lot.
Right? We got to get this parking lot cleared out. That's always a struggle.
For 30 years, I've been going over here to the parking lot and never been cleared out.
Right? I got some work I want you to check out real quick. I want your opinion on something.
You want me to give you my opinion?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see what you got. Oh.
I want you to check this out.
All right. Well, let me see what you got. That's mine? Oh, wow.
Been a minute, huh?
Been a while. Man, this is awesome.
Last time you seen this truck, it was just basically a rolling chassis and a body on it.
Yeah.
It's 100% now.
Well, unibody, that was the whole reason I liked the truck. I knew that this is what it would turn out like.
With the cab and bed welded together, that really makes this truck look super smooth. It just adds to the whole custom look of this thing. People just gonna look at it and go, "Man, that's a cool looking truck." It took to make that.
Oh yeah, they'll know. And it's something different that you just don't see out there.
From where it was to what it is now, man, it's night and day. From the roll pan, to the 68 front end, to the nice smooth hood, no wipers, no cowl vents. That's all been shaved. To the front glass, all flush, man. Carmen hooked us up with the A&N hot rod glass, makes this a nice windshield, nice back glass with no rubber. So it makes this whole thing look modern. And then down to the bed cover me and Rudy built for you. It's just something you don't see on these trucks, and it just finishes the whole thing off and just makes the unibody part look super smooth.
I mean, the way this thing sits on the ground, that's phenomenal.
That just doesn't happen with the air suspension. It has to be a chassis specially made, to make a vehicle go this low. Added these brand new wheels and tires, 24x8s in the front, 24x14s in the rear, with huge brakes on this thing.
Man, the chrome polished 24-inch wheels, the way it sets off the truck, man, it all goes together so good.
And white, white is super hard to pull off. My boy Zane stepped in. He told me if I ever need anything, give him a call. That's exactly what I did. And you see, Zane got down on it.
Did an awesome job.
Right? It's not only just white, but it's got metallic and a pearl in this, so it really stands out.
You can actually see the metallic in the light. See the shine on it.
Check this out.
Oh, yeah. That's nice.
Right?
I like that.
Once we got it back from Zane, blew everything apart and just started by powder coating all the suspension, all the frame, all the components to go with that. It's a chrome powder coat with transparent red over it, so it really gives it that anodized look. Yeah. And when the sun hits it, man, it just kind of blinds you.
This thing's definitely a show truck now.
And it's a late model 5.3 LT, so it's got plenty of power in here too. Man, let's check out the interior on this thing.
That's nice.
Right?
Man, so clean.
John and Heath really got down on this from top to bottom, from the new headliner to the carpet, you know, the custom-made door panels. There's subs in the back, you know, the kick panels. This thing gets down to, you know, the seats, the console, the all-metal 56 Chevy dash. It's got the Dakota digital gauges. So when you start this thing, everything lights up. It looks like a brand new late model car.
It don't even look like a dash. It looks like a spaceship. Well, the guys did an awesome job. They did great.
You know, Sean, just another example of my team coming together, creating something.
The first vehicle you built for me, and it won't be the last. Man, thank you.
After years of just being passed around, moved from bay to bay to bay, stuff piled on it, finally unpiling everything off the top, getting back to work and finally finishing this thing up, it really feels good. Need your help again, buddy? We need some hangers for the International over there, so I need something, you know, pretty beefy. One of the things we're learning on this 1996 International is how many extra steps it takes to even start working on a truck this size. This would be the whole mounting point for the whole rear suspension. Once this is made, we get it bolted on, everything will come off of that. It's heavy enough, huh?
All boxed in, all the way around.
5/16 plate. This is plenty of strong. This heavy of a truck, you know, gets stuck in the mud, a little bit of wheel hop. These things aren't going to go anywhere. See if this bolts up. Man, them things look good. That is exactly what we need to hold all this weight. You know, this is what makes me excited. Taking on the unknown and flexing our creative muscles. To do something.
A little bit of powder coat on these things would be right.
You know, we got the hangers done. Let's get the tabs on the rear end. And then we can start building a 4-link. We'll build bag mounts, shock mounts. Then we're Heisman Trophy.
I don't know I did a good job when it looks like you can just dive into this paper.
This thing makes 627 horsepower and 586 foot-pounds of torque, so this thing's going to be a tire shredder for sure.
The old school 1934 Buick.
And, yeah,
a lot more power and a lot more reliability.
So we got us a little situation here.
The new old school.
what?
This is very quickly becoming one of my favorite cars.
Whoa, weave.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
Well, that hasn't been separated in a long time, huh?
It looks good. Everything's clean. All sheet metal looks pretty nice. You ready to roll it out?
Yep, let's go.
We're known for custom trucks, but, you know, whatever rolls through the door, we're going to get our hands on it and give the little extensive touch to it. And when we're building a 49 Cadillac for NFL Hall of Famer Earl Campbell, I mean, this guy's a living legend. So everybody in the shop's got to be on point and make sure this thing's going to be perfect. You know, this car is special. And I'll say that about all of them, but this one's is definitely special.
I think it's your turn, buddy, the finisher.
I appreciate it, man.
It's been months of metal work and body work just to get to this point. You know, when people see all the custom touches that are all throughout this car, they're going to know it's Earl Campbell's. You know, it's always a little bonus in the day when you get something major done, like just pulling the frame out, getting it cleaned up, getting it loaded off the powder coat. It's just a huge accomplishment. You know, considering how Earl's car came into what it is now, finally feels like we're getting something done. Thank you. Well, this thing is going to be a cool car. Earl, where's the first place you're going to take this car?
In Austin, Texas, there's a little hamburger joint. Been there since the 40s. I hang out there. That's where the cars meet on Thursday night. So that's going to be my first appearance in this 49.
All right, man. You make me hungry.
I know. What's for lunch? Burgers?
Earl, man, I'd really like to take you in the shop and show this thing to you at the stage it's at, but you've seen it in pieces enough. If you can bear with me, just wait just a little longer, I promise you, it's going to be extra special for you to see this thing totally finished.
I can't wait, Bill.
For the most part, Earl's just been leaving the design for the caddy to us. But you know, Earl called me a couple days ago, said he had some ideas for the color accents for the interior.
I'm gonna tell you, man, I can't wait to see it. But when I was coming through town, I bought you some UT that I like that interior to look like. This is the real UT orange, what I used to wear when I was in college. And now I don't need a number 20 on the leather, but everything else I would love for the inside to look like that.
So you don't want just us to get material to match this color. You actually want to use the UT jersey.
UT jersey, that orange
in the car.
In the car. I got to have that orange in it.
Man, that's pretty cool. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Just some touches all throughout. When you're building a car for Earl Campbell, you really want those touches to stand out. And putting these jerseys in the interior, this is definitely the way to go. Everybody's going to know whose car it is.
Oh, yeah. I feel like a junior high football player getting promoted to the varsity on that level.
You know, we built a lot of cool cars and trucks around, but this is by far probably definitely my favorite one.
A 49 Caddy.
Yes, sir.
An orange interior. That's going to be great.
Man, we're going to make it happen.
You got it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Shock me. Knock me out of my socks, but I'm ready.
All right.
How's she looking? It's looking real good. Considering, you know, where it's at now and where it started with, night and day. Repairing the rust on this thing, rebuilding the floor, you know, the drive shaft tunnel, transmission tunnel, building this car to the new chassis, to the new suspension, to the new engine, the LSX under the hood, man, this is going to be cool.
Just the hours that are in this area, much less the rest of the car.
You know, there's definitely a lot of custom modifications to this thing, you know, especially the firewall, to really get this thing looking like a car. When Earl pops a hood on this thing,
man, he's going to be so impressed.
For the new LSX, we're making custom intakes and exhaust, and it's wheels, tires, and brakes. As soon as we get this thing painted, we're going to get it over to interior for custom door panels, seats, console, and headliner. The stereo that's going in this thing, all the little custom accents. You know what you give a guy that has everything? 49 custom Cadillacs, that's what you give them. You know, the only thing left to do is just paint it and then everything else. Let's start with just the paint.
Let's get in the booth.
Let's get it pushed in there. All right, man. You got this?
Got this.
You know, one of the things Earl wanted from the very beginning is black paint. And Chris is getting that thing going now.
We're going to make sure that we get enough paint on this car that any imperfections or whatever, we want them to be covered. We'll put as many coats as it takes to get this car as black as possible. I met Bill back when we were, in our teens. We were in a truck club here in Houston, and he started doing air suspension. He did some work on one of my trucks a long time ago. I think when I was 18. I did it for 15 years straight. It's fun to do. I enjoy it. I grew up watching Earl Campbell play football, and, you know, people are going to see this car, and whoever knows it and who don't know it, at least I'll know I painted it. I'll know I did a good job when I can tell that it looks like you can just dive into this paint job because the color is going to look so deep. Cadillac out of the booth, and now that it's painted and cleared, the next process is wet sanding and buffing. It has an orange peel texture, kind of leathery looking. That's why they call it orange peel. It looks like the peel of an orange. What we want to do is sand this down with our blocks of different sandpapers, get it slick as possible, and then we're going to come back and buff it to give it that nice mirror finish. The guys did such a good job on this firewall doing the bead rolling on it that I can't use this block on because it will burn the paint. When I say burn it, I mean sand through the paint. We have real problems if I do that. We'll block the flat areas with this block and sandpaper, and then we'll have to come back by hand and get around all the bead rolls with finer grit sandpaper. And we're I know where I can and can't go because, like I said, we do not want to burn this paint at this stage in the game. Okay, this is our last step in our wet sanding process. We've got 3,000 grit sandpaper on our DA sander. We'll run over this real quick and then we'll be ready to buff. And when we start buffing, that's what's going to bring out that mirror shine that we're looking for. You have to spend the time on it to make it as slick and smooth as possible, or when this thing's buffed, you'll be able to see every flaw that's in it. All right, we just completed the wet sanding, buffing, and polishing part of our firewall here, which is the final step in a paint job. The only thing we got left now is to do the whole rest of the car.
Most of the guys working here have spent their whole lives in Houston. John, you know, is a lifer too. He just couldn't wait to get going on the interior. Because for guys like us, you know, Earl's just a local legend.
I'm getting ready to start the door panels and the interior on Earl's Caddy here. So what I've done is I've just laid out some templates on the doors and the panels all the way in. I got me a pencil, good eraser. I'll just sit here and figure out what we're going to make here and try to get everything incorporated in all at one time and get everything drawn out so we'll see the whole piece. We got the basic sketch down of where we're headed to, so now it's just a matter of how do we get UT in here. We don't want to make it overpowering. It needs to stay kind of subtle and just an accent in the car. So what we might do is put some sort of insert spot behind that. That might work. After looking at the placement of where I've got this armrest in relation to the seat, it's going to have to move up. So I'm really happy with the shape that I have of the armrest. So I'm going to transfer that onto another piece. This is how these things work. You just sit here and stare at them and think about it a little while and it'll come to you. It'll all make sense. And so I like to just sit here early in the morning, quietly, enjoy my coffee, and sketch. So all I gotta do is just lift it up and stick it to another piece of board. So you just stick that down. I'll take an Alpha knife, cut that out, and that'll give me my template to work with so I can put this wherever I want it at on here. So what I'm thinking here is armrest just needs to move up to about right there. That looks good. I like where we're headed with this.
Even though there was assembly lines back when Earl's 1949 Cadillac was made, you know, a lot of stuff was made by hand. There wasn't any robots. And we're taking the same approach from the metalwork to the interior.
You know, Earl showed up the other day, brought in some jerseys, wanted us to work these into the car somehow. So my thought here is to take and use those to create that Cadillac V and drop that in right here underneath these pillows. That'll look really cool. Just a nice pop of that burnt orange in the car without being too overwhelming. It'll turn out looking really cool. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to lay out the rest of the seams on the seat. I'm going to start laying out the bolsters first. I got a template that I've already drawn out for that. Make sure I have everything lined up. I want the lines exactly where I want them. In the center, what we're going to do is we're going to draw out a 2-inch tuck and roll. It's just something that was used classically back in the hot rod days. It's basically they take and they roll the leather over and you tuck it in with some foam and it actually makes these pillow tops. Just kind of keep it the old school feeling of the 49 Cadillac, and then we'll have that modern touch of this nice, hard, solid, shaped out pillow on the top here that still has that lean to the classic styles. All right. You know, everything in here has got a nice flow. We've still got that classic feel to it with the tuck and roll. I think this little pop of orange up here in the top for these V's is going to be, get them into the trim shop, and we'll get them covered.
Put the old school 1934 Buick Model 57 on hold because the owner wanted to figure out what kind of power plant he wanted to use. He ended up with the late model 5.3, and now we're back at it.
Got it, huh? Got it.
This is perfect for this old Buick.
It always sucks to see a project get pulled off the lift, but I'm glad he made up his mind exactly what he wanted. Now we can move forward with the rest of the car.
I wasn't really feeling taking this thing apart. It was so pristine, you know, so original. You know, it was hard to cut into it, but we pulled out the stock straight 8 motor, ripping out the old suspension and start building fresh, you know, get the steering all mocked up. I mean, this thing's going to be a new car all underneath once we're done, you know, especially with the new 5.3.
They just had to have a new motor and transmission in it.
Exactly, man. Power, reliability. He'll never have to worry about this for sure.
I can't wait to see this thing come together. It's going to be a really, really nice old school.
The new old school.
The new old school.
Freezing cold out here today, and we're about to go drop the LS into the Buick.
The old school straight 8 is a lot wider than the straight 8. So once little one gets this thing in, we have to mock up a new steering configuration.
All right, just make sure that it doesn't hit the headlight or the paint.
Okay. Go ahead.
In?
Yeah.
This thing is pretty dirty, but when we're done with it, it's gonna look spotless.
Come in. Slowly, slowly. Watch the front bumper.
Yeah. All right, we clear?
Yeah.
Now, we get that angle under it, then we need one more in the front, and then we can go ahead and start moving it around. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now that we have the header mocked up and the engine fully on its own in the car, the steering has to be moved now too.
You know, the owner still wants to keep as much of that original interior as possible. So we're trying to keep the old steering column.
The key to work on these beautiful cars is you gotta do yoga at least once a week. Since I can't cut right outside on the firewall, we gotta take the ignition off, release the column, and pull it out without damaging this nice, beautiful interior. Beep, beep. That was easy, wasn't it? Got it out.
Cool, man. You know, keeping the old column just fit the whole original interior in this is definitely the way to go about it. There's a problem with that, though. We don't have any way to adapt the original column to the rack and pinion that we're going to put underneath there. So we have an end of an old column. I want to graft this on to the original one.
All right.
That way we can adapt all this right to the rack and pinion, and everything will work right.
Right.
You know where to cut.
Got it.
Quick, easy, right? No, this just goes to show you there's something that wasn't even thought of when we set out to do this little project. But, you know, that's just what we do. We deal with them, keep on rolling. Got that?
It's kind of like a Russian doll. Everything just goes in piece after piece after piece, and they're all gonna fit in perfect. Now it's time to put all the pieces together and make this custom 1934 2020 steering column. So this is not our finished product until it gets painted and fully installed, but now we're ready to mock up our rack and pinion. I gotta wash my hands because I do not want to get this interior. A while ago we were sticking all the way here, almost touching the header. Now we're right at the firewall, exactly where we measured, exactly where we wanted it to be. From here we can pivot around it and we can go straight into our rack and pinion that's gonna end up being up there in the front.
So we got us a little situation here. Our rack is way up there in front, like almost a foot in front of the engine. And with our column coming out like right behind the cylinder head, we need to detour our steering shaft around the exhaust header and then go back straight to the rack. So we had to make us like a two-piece steering shaft with the center U-joint mounted on a heim joint. We got to get this thing as close as possible to the header without touching. That way it doesn't put this U-joint in so much of an angle, which is going to cause hard spots in your steering. We have 3 U-joints. There's nothing to hold it in the middle. We got to support it with this heim joint. And what this is going to do is hold this shaft in the center from moving around and hitting the headers into the chassis. That way it'll support this from moving around. We got everything in place. Now we're ready to give this a rotation. Check it out. Man, this steers pretty good. I don't feel any hard spots. I think we got this set up pretty good. Now we definitely know this car is going to steer in the right direction.
definitely not going to make a lot of new friends with the Buick crowd cutting into this original 34 Buick.
Straight up.
But we're still doing what we can to give this thing the respect it deserves. I have Edgar color matching the engine to the cab, and Matt's adding a super clean serpentine setup.
So now we got our motor in here. We're gonna go ahead and start getting the front drive assembly on, the water pump, alternator, and everything that gets the motor running. So with this bracket here, it holds the water pump, the alternator, power steering pump. It allows everything to be more compact and gives us a lot more clearance, especially when a car like this, we barely have any clearance in the engine bay, so it tightens everything up and gives it a nice look. Now that we got our bracket on, we'll go ahead and mount our power steering pump up. We're still real tight on clearance, but it fits, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Now it's lean, mean, and ready to be seen. Got it.
Yes, man.
Definitely a big improvement from what was in it.
A lot more power and a lot more reliability.
And it kind of looks like it belongs.
Yeah, it just looks right at home in this thing. Man, Matt, it's all downhill now, huh?
Yes, sir.
You know, there's so much room on the backseat of this 49 Cadillac that John has plenty of space to come up with a couple of one-off speaker enclosures.
So what I'm gonna do to take up this space here is I'm gonna use it as a subwoofer enclosure. I'm gonna take my subwoofer, flip it upside down and downfire it into the pocket over here. Get a little back pressure loaded on the front of the subwoofer. It'll improve the sound a little bit. I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'll start with the baffle of the box, and I can take that and I start building the walls of the box up and around and get the shape to it that I'm looking for. Figure out how we're gonna go about tying this whole big piece together. Let's start with the back wall that needs to be curved. Basically just cutting it every 1/4 inch, almost all the way through, and that'll allow it to bend and shape to the fender well just fine. So once I get my angle cut on it, I can go put it in the car and get it stuck. This enclosure is a little different than most of the enclosures that we build around here. It will actually become the interior trim panel of the car. We'll make a top piece that comes out, but it won't come out all the way. It'll stop shy over here with some shape in it, and we'll bring it all back into here to go down. And this will turn into your armrest area up here. So when you're sitting in the back seat, you're in an armrest here, and this will all sculpt down towards the seat. In order for this material to make the shape that I want, I've made these ribs, and we'll put them around in a couple of places, and that'll give us something to attach our material to and start fiberglassing. Just gonna take a piece of this flex form carpet here, push this down in here. It'll take the shape that we want. We'll get it stapled down. That should be perfect. Now that we got that worked out, next thing we'll do is take some fiberglass resin, start piling it on here, and wait for it to get dry enough to touch so we don't get it all over the car. And once it's to that point, we're gonna put it back in the car, continue building our panels around it, get everything tied in. When you're building your custom panels like this, you want to make sure that you keep everything in consideration, keep things nice and tight so you have one nice cohesive flow through your entire panel.
Edgar painted the new LSX for Earl's 49 Cadillac. And of course, it's Texas Longhorn Orange. And we got our custom chassis back from Powder Coat. We're putting it all together with brand new air lines, brand new brake lines, all new stainless bolts, and of course, brand new Billy wheels.
Starting to look like a car now. Yeah, looks good with 4 wheels on it. Man, now you can actually see how the contrast is coming together. The little pop of the motor color is going to tie into a little bit of interior color. It's going to make the whole car a complete package. Man, this car is fit for Earl Campbell.
Definitely. I hope he'll let me borrow it one day.
When you're getting the body ready to put on the frame, it makes for a really, really good day. Seeing the big pieces, man, it gets me excited. This is very quickly becoming 9 caddies about to be born today. I sure be liking that chassis. You should probably set it down on there, huh?
Yeah.
Looking good.
It looks real good.
You know, colors he was wearing when he won the Heisman Trophy. He's got to love this, right?
Right. Man, especially being his first custom car.
I'd be happy with this, my 100th custom car.
Like a V?
Yeah, dude, it sure is. Just for this car.
With all the work we've done to Earl Campbell's 49 Cadillac, there's still something missing. So I asked Justin to build a couple of custom downpipes.
Right here on Earl's Cadillac, we got the LSX 454 crate motor stabbed in there. This thing makes 627 horsepower and 586 foot-pounds of torque at 5,000 RPM, so this thing's gonna be a tire shredder for sure. So we're gonna go ahead and get our throttle bodies mounted up so we can start doing our charge pipes. We got these billet throttle bodies. They're twin 102 millimeter throttle bodies, so it's gonna supply a lot of air to this big cubic inch motor. We have our aluminum mandrel bends. They're 3 new now. We can kind of see that there's a lot of room in the engine bay, so we get creative on this intake system. Well, since he went to UT and old Vivo over there, we're gonna go ahead and do it where it looks like almost 2 horns in the center. 5 inches off of each horn. I marked 5 inches from the end of our tube so that both of our tubes match up, and I'm going to use the tape pretty much to connect the dots so that we have a good clean cut line to follow. Let's go cut some pipe. Basically, since this is a big 454 cubic inch engine, we need to make sure that we can supply it with enough air to make that power. So that's the reason we chose the 3.5 inch dual throttle body setup. And we're going to try to put the filter placement where we're pulling good, clean, fresh air right in the front of the vehicle. So I like the way that the intake has that X pattern, so we're going to try to emulate that with our intake tubes. It's looking like we can take this 180-degree bend, split it in half, use that 90-degree angle, and it should put our pitch right exactly where we're wanting. So now that we have all of our tubes cut, you can kind of see the direction we were talking about in the beginning where we wanted our placement of our air filters. And now that we have it with the tape kind of securing the 2 tubes in place, we can get it pulled off and go weld it up. So on this tube here, I'm going to end up welding it clockwise, coming around this way. And on this tube here, I'm going to come counterclockwise. It's going to give it one of those little small details that most people wouldn't notice, but, you know, to the ones that do it, they'll appreciate it. So we're going to go test fit them on a caddy, see how they look. If everything looks good, we can go ahead and pull them off and polish them. So now that we got everything wrapped up, everything's installed, see everything fits like we wanted, I think Earl will be real happy with this when he sees it.
After a lot of hard work and some tough decisions, this 1934 Buick's finally done. You know, I was really reluctant about cutting out all the old factory suspension, but once we got into it, that's what we do.
Bill called me and said the car was ready to come and look at it, so, you know, I invited the guys, Silveranos Car Clubs of Houston. All my friends are here, their cars are here. We're all excited to look at the Buick.
What's going on, man?
See you, man.
Javier, how you doing, man? Good to see you. What's up, fellas?
Hey, what's up?
You got the whole crew out, huh?
Oh, yeah.
You know, after looking at your whole crew's cars, I can definitely see why you wanted to do what you wanted to do.
Oh, yeah, man. I got to keep up with them, so.
Yeah. Your Buick now, it'll definitely fit in with the crowd for sure.
Oh, I can't wait. All right. Hey, good deal, man. Man, she looks pretty. Damn, Lord. Oh, my God. Good deal, man. Awesome. All right, man. Good job, man. How you doing, man?
Man, what you think about that thing?
Man, it looks good. Beautiful. I love the way it looks, the stance, the wheels.
You know, first things first, we got this thing on the lift and just started fresh with a new rear end, built independent front suspension for it with all air all the way around. That thing's gonna ride good, handle good, and be reliable for sure.
Now you know why I asked you to do what I wanted to do, right?
You know, Javier, I gotta admit, once this thing's down on the ground like that, man, it changes the whole look.
Yeah.
Definitely made the right decision for sure.
Yeah.
One other thing you wanted was the reliability and some power under the hood, right?
Right.
Let's check out under the hood.
Man, that looks good. How'd you fit that thing in there?
started out ripping that old engine and trans out and just getting a pulled out 5.3, stripping it all down, really dressed it up, make it look good. So when you pop the hood, you got something to be proud of.
Man, wonderful.
It was tough, but definitely worth it. We had to do a vintage air frame that's such a narrow frame in it. We had to custom make all the steering to get around the headers, and everything had to be one off, especially because of the fitment.
The old engine looked like an antique. This is state of the art. This car went from being real cool to real gangster.
You probably got 10 times the power that this thing came with. We'll see if you can keep some tread on these old cokers here.
All right, can't wait.
Taking a late model engine, sticking in such an antique car, you think it'd probably stick out. But all the work we put into this engine, making it look the way it does, it's like it was made for this car. What do you guys think, man? You gonna let this guy cruise around with you?
Yeah. I'm so happy now that I can just get in this car, start it up, and show it off. Thanks a lot, man.
You're welcome, man.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. All right.
You know, sometimes in this business, you really got to lean on your guys. You know, on the caddy, we really had to lean on John. You know, he's really coming through. Every little detail he's adding is 100.
We get started on the rear deck for the 49 caddy. We're going to start by cutting out our base out of MDF. We'll take that over to the car, get that in place, and start building it up from there. The back deck has a curve in it, so we'll make two pieces. I'm going to take some fiberall here and mix it up and use that to actually put these two pieces, especially with it being up here in the rear deck of the car. You know, it takes a lot of heat up here. We want something that's really going to be able to stand up and not give us any issues. This will be the riser that'll come up from the rear deck that helps tie it into the back of the seats. All right, we got this thing all dried up, positioned, ready to go. So I'm gonna pop this thing out, take it across the way, put it on the table, and we'll finish it out there.
You know, Earl Camel's 49 Cadillac is just one of those builds where we're just making as many parts as we can by hand. Ryan's finishing up the custom exhaust on one side. Now he's mirror imaging it to the other.
The first side is always the easiest. Mirroring it is the hardest part about it. It's just a lot of marking, fine-tuning, a bunch of small cuts until you get that final exact perfect fit that we're looking for. And you know, it's easier to cut a little bit at a time than cut a whole bunch and then have to either add or go find another piece and start all over again. Well, the reason I'm putting the V-band here is because the muffler and all that, all the way to the header is all one piece right now and one full piece. Houston, 40 degrees in the morning, 80 degrees at lunch. At this point, the exhaust is the most complex of it all because of this bin that I got right here and then just what I had to work with and just the limited amount of space. So trying to make this work and flow and not cause any restriction and also clear everything is pretty tricky, but hopefully I can get exactly what I'm looking for out of this and make it go all the way, dump out the back instead of stopping right here. Alright, so I didn't let it beat me. We were able to make it come all the way out to the back. That's gonna look tight from the back. Whenever you're driving behind it, see that? That's gonna look dope. So now all we got left to do is just make some hangers, drill some O2 bungs, weld it all up, and throw it back in the car. I think if Earl ever gets to take a look underneath this car, he should be very happy. I know I am.
What's up, man?
What's going on, Bill?
On this build, there was a lot of parts had to get chromed, but that grill, you know, that grill's something special. We had to make sure this thing shined. You got something for me?
Oh, yeah, I got something for you, buddy. I got your grill.
Man, that thing looks good, Victor.
It's a 1940.
Dip this thing in chrome, but...
Yeah, I mean, well, you do it in 30 minutes. Nah.
You gotta take the whole thing apart, huh?
The whole thing apart. Yeah. At least 5 pieces right here. They're made of stainless steel. So you got to be careful with them, you know, when you polish them and chrome plate them.
Yeah, and it's not just this either. Of course, you got such a good reflection. You look down here, you see everything up here. Yeah, so everything back here has to look just as good.
Like that.
Because this thing's pretty much a mirror now.
Yeah.
Victor, you sure this is the same one?
The same one, buddy.
This thing looks brand new. I think it's better new.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely.
Man, I appreciate it, Victor.
It's all yours, buddy. Just be careful now.
Right?
Yeah.
been done to this 49 Cadillac, but there's still a ton more to go. You know, John's got his work cut out for him, building custom speaker pods, cup holders, and pockets. Man, these door panels are gonna be cool.
So now I got the speaker pod and cup holder pocket all ground out in shape. The next component that I need to finish for the door panel is the armrest. So I'll just take my template here, just gonna trace it out. I'll come in and rough cut it, and we'll route it. All right, got them all cut out. Next step to do, sand them down, glue them up, and then stack them. You just kind of come up with ideas in your head and then think of ways to execute your ideas. You know, the stacking method here is basically just to get a big chunk to carve out of, as you would any other sculpture, really. So the next thing you're gonna do is gotta put the hand pull in this thing. I've got a template here, so I'll have it for both sides. Trace it out. All of this in here is gonna get carved out, so we have some place to put fingers, grab a hold of it, and close it. You know, Earl came in the other day, he had a challenge. He really wants to get this UT burnt orange color in the car. We're gonna take this, cut it up, and wrap a few pieces. That will work. This is where all that body working and sanding really starts to pay off. You can actually start to see what you've made, see the final product. Everything starts to come together. You can see all your lines, your details, and if you don't put all that time and effort into it, when you get to this point, it'll start to show too. All right, well, that's a wrap. Only thing left to do now is get it on the car and get the speakers in it and get everything buttoned up, and this thing will be ready to roll.
I love working on Cadillacs because that's just the car of the industry.
It's one of those cool cars that was always fun because they were the luxury of the time.
Cadillac rolls in here.
We're all fighting to work on it.
I hope I get to work on it.
John knows with that Cadillac, he can put 15 speakers in the trunk. You know you can make it as low as you want and make it go as fast as you want.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be the porter and drive around the parking lot. I mean, that's what I want to do. Of course, we did the 59 for Slim. We cut the roof off and made it a roadster.
Night and day difference in that
just
car.
doing the windshield wrap around on that car.
Yeah, stretching the back out, moving seats that far back to make room for
That's
him.
one thing Cadillacs always had, is plenty of room.
Nothing said America like Cadillac.
As American as,
you know, apple pie. They'll keep making them. We'll keep customizing them. People keep eating them.
Being young and my dad watching Earl Campbell just killing people every week. He just rooted for him, you know, every time he played. You know, when people hear now that we're building a car for Earl Campbell, you hear all the stories of how good a player he was and just how he dominated everybody on the field. You know, every step of the way on this 49 Cadillac, you know, Earl's been an inspiration to us. You know, the consistency, you know, that's what we were going for in building this Cadillac. You know, so today it's an honor to give Earl his car back. The 49 Cadillac is something I'm very proud of, and every guy in the shop is proud of. I'm kind of jealous, man. This is a cool car.
Hey, Tim, you can't tell me anything about this car, man.
Man, I don't want to tell you anything. I want to keep it a surprise for you till Bill gets here. One thing I will tell you is it's all in one piece now. All them buckets it showed up in and records that it showed up on, it's in a whole lot better shape than what it was.
Earl came all the way from Austin to Houston just to see this car we built for him. You know, the last time you seen it, it was in thousands of pieces. I can't wait to show it to him now.
How you doing, Bill?
Man, what's going on?
I'm here to see that bad boy, Caddy. Oh, yeah, man.
Man, you saved me just in time. You've been picking my brains wanting to see this thing.
What do you think, Earl? I know you've been waiting a while. You ready to see this thing?
I'm ready. I can't wait, Bill.
Man, Timmy, let's do it.
Here she comes.
It was fun building this. This is something we're all super proud of for sure.
Come on, man, hurry up. Let's get this car uncovered. Look at that. Whoa, man, that is great.
What you think, Earl?
Golly, Bill, when this car first got here, that paint job, that black. Man, that bumper, that's a hell of a lot of chrome.
There's plenty of black and plenty of chrome on this thing.
Oh, man, that's great.
Man, Earl, you know, it's a huge challenge to make, you know, parts in the parking lot into a car looking like this.
You know, we first started off getting this thing on the lift, doing rust repair. You know, getting a car this old, this straight, and the gaps right on this, the body guys, that's showing their skills right there. A 49 Cadillac don't come like that. You make it like that.
Yeah, especially when the panels come in the back of a truck all thrown together, just thrown in that truck.
Come on, man. You guys don't let me forget that, huh?
You know, especially black. You know, looking down the side of this thing is laser straight.
Man, that is beautiful.
You know, building a chassis on this thing, Earl, motor mounts, new rear end, new front suspension, air suspension, so this thing lays real low to the ground too. Every nut, bolt, everything is 100% brand new. You have a brand new 49 Cadillac.
Just to see it all put together, I was amazed. I mean, the chrome on it, the lovely lady on the front. I mean, I just can go on. I just couldn't believe it.
Earl, you had a couple stipulations. You wanted this car to be some power under the hood.
That's right.
We got something for you under there.
Let's see. Good nurse.
Earl, you said you wanted some power under the hood in this thing. The 454 LSX is the one for it.
And burnt orange?
Yep.
That's great, man.
Building all new firewall in this thing, all new sheet metal molded onto the fenders, new core support. John came in and just bead-roll you nice, cool panels in there. You know, it's got the little Cadillac V recessed down in it.
On the wall, man. It's unbelievable.
You know, Earl, when Justin was making the air intakes of this, he took a design cue from, you know, UT mascot Bevo, kind of replicated the Longhorn on the
yeah, sure, you kind of see that's an intakes.
Right? One of your honors in life was the Hall of Fame, so we wanted to make you a medallion here to hold the two pipes together. John machined us a deal. This is 1991 Hall of Fame with a little football on it.
You know, there's no mistaking whose car this is.
That's right.
Let's check out the interior of this thing.
Wow.
Man, last time you seen this thing, there was just piles and piles and piles of parts for the interior on this thing, right?
Yes, man. It's got the burnt orange on the door.
Man, we know you had to have that UT orange. We sewn them into the interior itself. All this is handmade by old John Burgess himself.
Yes, he did a great job.
You know, it's got you a little something special back there in the rear deck as well.
Yes.
You get the little Longhorns incorporated in the back, all the way up into the Dakota Digital gauges.
Now, there's some special numbers in your life of what you've been through. So, 20, you were a Heisman at UT.
That's right.
34, you were a Houston Oiler, and then 91, you went to Hall of Fame.
That's right. There's no doubt everything in this car says Earl Campbell. I mean, they went out of their way and beyond. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more. Oh, man. Yeah, grief. That's down in the dirt.
That just changes the whole attitude, right?
Yes, sir. When you see that 49 Caddy sitting up, that's one thing. But when you see it go down all the way in the grass, that's bad. You got a 49 after that.
I try to make this thing as comfortable and as cool for you as possible. It's got 24x9s in the front and 22x12s in the rear.
I never seen a rim like that before. That's one of a kind. I love it. What a beautiful car.
I like your car, man.
I'm really happy it's mine. I'm happy it's mine. Thank y'all very much for what y'all done. You and your team should be very proud.
The whole process from start to finish, you know, it took some time. It was a labor of love for every guy. I can't thank my guys enough. And this is just one more example of us just putting 24 15s in the back of this thing. John's gonna build a crazy interior. Check this out. We were a little fooled on this thing. What else it was doing before it got here? It doesn't matter. This thing is just gonna be a game-changing badass car.
Damn, Bill, look at that. Oh, man.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
Because my shop sits on the same plot of land where I grew up on the north side of Houston, I I feel like my neighbors basically grew up with us. Some of them even became a big part of our team like livers. And today, we're giving a build back to a fellow Northsider.
Growing up as a little kid, I lived in the neighborhood. I would see all these cool trucks just drive by my house. First thing you talk about is, hey, have you talked to Bill? Have you gone to Extensive? Check out what they're building next. I saw this Ram. First thing in my mind was, I got to drive this over to Bill, lay it out on the floor, some big wheels. It's going to be awesome when it's done.
What's happening, man?
What's up? How you been?
Real good, real good.
I'm ready to see this truck, man. I've been excited about it since the day I dropped it off.
I know you have. The new Dodge, and that's the first time we ever got one in, you know, with the new body style to put this thing on the ground. It definitely had some challenges. Oh, this thing is nice, man. It's nice. So let's check it out.
Absolutely, man. Let's go. Oh, damn, Bill. Man, that thing looks sick. This thing's gonna turn heads no matter what.
Thing looks good.
This thing looks better than good, man. This thing's amazing. Golly, Bill. Man, that thing sits all the way down to the ground. You outdid yourself on this.
Hope you like your truck, man.
Man, it's a dream come true.
It's all the way to the floor like you wanted it.
Absolutely, man. That thing looks good, good. There's a ton of work in engineering that makes a vehicle to day in and day out. We tore out all the factory suspension and just started over. We built new control arms, new tooling.
That looks sick, man.
Big 26-inch billet wheels with this truck sitting low. It just changed the whole look of this thing,
man,
right?
It's tucking that wheel like crazy, man. I'm surprised that you even got it that low for me, man.
A lot of work was involved to get this thing all the way on the ground like that. So everything on top of the wheel tubs all have to be relocated. So we went back and made nice brackets for everything. If you pop the hood, it looks like it came that way.
Yeah. Shoot, man, I'm going to be dreaming like a kid tonight.
I got some good guys. You know, I didn't do it all myself. Lulu stepped up and really took charge of this thing. And he built most of the suspension components on this thing and installed it, man.
Bringing it to you guys here at Extensive, I knew it was in good hands.
Were you ready to ride?
Absolutely, man. I want to get this thing on the road.
Well, man, have fun with this thing.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it very much, man. You and the team. Appreciate it, man.
Have fun. Let us know how it does. The Northside has been good to Extensive. Of course, we take pride in every build that rolls out, but it means a little something extra when you see that build driving around the neighborhood. Picked up a 1996 Impala for our customer of ours, Pete, and today he's coming by to figure out exactly what we're going to do to this thing. What up, Pete?
What's going on, Bill? How you been? Man, good, good. So you picked it up, huh?
It's a cool car, man.
Yeah, it is, man, it is.
The 1996 Impala was the car back in the 90s. Even today, they're highly sought after. Part of the appeal of this thing is it came with a small block LT1 V8, which packed a lot of power back in the 90s. I know you've been dreaming about this thing for years and years.
Yes, sir. I've been wanting to bring you a car for so long. I was about 8 when the car first came out. Just loved them. Everybody had them in my neighborhood. You kind of like grow up loving the car that you loved in your childhood.
So what do you want to do to this thing, Pete?
Really want to make this car a game changer. I want to have the baddest Impala out there.
You know, that's why you're here, right?
Yeah.
These cars have been around for, 25 plus years, and, people have been customizing them for 25 years. Pretty much everything has been done to these things you can possibly think of, but I got a couple ideas. Of course, we got to get this thing really low to the ground.
Oh, yeah.
24s all the way around, but not just that, a 2415 in the back of this thing. Just a big with a low profile, wide billet wheel.
That's definitely going to stand out.
Is going to set this thing apart from every other Impala. To change the game, we got to change the frame. We're going to cut the frame off right underneath the back seat and build it from there all the way back to give these billet wheels plenty of room to go up underneath that body. Man, I love this car too in black. It fits it. So I just freshen up the paint, freshen up the bumpers, freshen up the lights, the hood. Let's get rid of that cow hood, man. That was a rage, 20 years ago, but we can't have that now.
Yeah, I know it.
Inside, the interior of this thing.
Yeah, well, I ripped it out a while back. had plans for it and just really never put it back in. I was thinking we're doing something one of a kind on the outside, but why not do something special, fully custom on the inside?
Man, you know I got the guys for that.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
John and his guys will really get in this thing and just build you something just totally cool.
90s foundation, but with that 2021 look.
There you go, man. This thing's definitely going to be a game changer.
That sounds great, Bill. Let's make it happen.
Back in the 90s, this Impala was the car. This was every kid's dream back then. But now, years later, these kids are all grown up and wanting to go back and purchase their dream, going to be Pete's dream car. There's nothing cooler than that, to build someone's dream and to be able to present it to them. Pete wants to change the game with this car, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to get rid of most of the 90s modifications like the cow hood or like embroidery in the door panels. Just bring in the new style, the new look. The name of the game is starting fresh.
Already getting started, huh?
Yeah.
Easy work right here.
Man, I've always liked these big body Impalas. Pretty much everything's been done one of these 100 times over, right?
Yeah, they kind of seem to look the same.
Oh, Pete, he wants a game changer on this thing, so we're going to do something different that I've never seen before.
This is never a good setup. This equals a lot of work.
Always a lot of work. All right, first things first, let's get the rear end out of this thing, the exhaust, gas tank, and just cut the frame off and front and back wheels back. We'll build a subframe, and then we'll tie it into the factory existing frame.
Okay.
And then we're going to incorporate air suspension in with it also.
Oh, wow.
We're going to put 24 tires, so it's going to be
That's a lot of tire.
So we're bagging this on the ground with a 16-inch wide tire.
The rear is going to be what, about this wide?
Yeah, pretty much. Ooh. If you see this thing parked somewhere, it's going to make you pay attention, right?
Definitely.
Totally change the game with this thing. Narrow the rear end, super narrow to accommodate and get really low to the ground.
We're going to tub this thing all the way over to here and tub this one all the way to here. You can delete the whole back seat.
John and the guys in the interior, I'm sure they'll come up with something cool to fill in that little space there. We already got a little head start. There's no interior, so we can just get right to cut. If you're going to have a Impala, you got to have a black Impala, right? Just keep it black. This thing's a 96 model, so it's showing its age, of course. So we want to go through the outside of this thing, freshen up the bumpers, new grille, the lights, make this thing look good. Ready to do this? Good. Jamie are tearing the suspension out and cutting the frame right behind the back seat all the way to the bumper. So we can build a whole new subframe that'll hold these big old 24 by 15 inch tires. Ready? Yep.
1, 2, 3. That's your rear frame.
Before we make room for the big wheels, Julio's going to take out the rear glass.
We got to lose a couple of bolts that are touching the glass. After that, we're just going to start cutting on the glass. This is not supposed to be like this. It's supposed to be an easy job. Whoa, look at that. Mr. Bill, I need to show you something real quick. I think I know why he's giving me a hard time. They put Bondo over it.
We were a little fooled on this thing. Back in the day, Impalas were out of reach for a lot of people, but we could get an old comp car for a third of the price you could for Impala. Just do whatever you got to do to get this out of the way, and we'll take it from there. Somebody obviously took a Caprice and tried to make it into Impala. Caprices were pretty much the exact same body style with very subtle differences. And one of the differences was the back quarter glass. The Caprice had a big triangle back glass, then this on the back. Caprice, Impala, shoddy craftsmanship, to say the least. You know, every build has a story to tell.
Of course, some stories are just way more interesting than others.
Oh, man. That's definitely a bullet hole. In 10 minutes, we found out this thing isn't a real Impala, and it's been in a shootout.
Bet that's not the only one in here. Bad part or bullet hole?
Both. No telling what else we're going to find when we start cutting on this thing, right? It's never fun giving a customer bad news. But old Pete, he thought he was bringing us the car of his dreams, that 1996 Impala, but what he brought us was Impasta, a 1996 Caprice that looked like an Impala. I gotta break the news to him. Pete, what's happening?
Hey, what's going on, Bill? How's the car coming along?
We did run across a couple things I wanted to run by you. That's why I wanted to talk to you this morning.
Oh.
Yeah, we were picking at some body wear, and one of the things uncovered not only a bullet hole in it.
I found a bullet hole in the car? Created thing.
You know it. We also dug a little more, kept digging, and found out your car isn't an Impala. It's a Caprice.
Man.
Somebody converted it, made it look like Impala when it's really a Caprice.
No, that was the thing back in the days. Everybody was converting them Caprices to Impalas.
Right. Before we got any deeper in your car, I just want to make sure you're cool with that.
Of course, I prefer to have an Impala, but in this case, I don't see that being a reason to stop this.
I totally agree. No matter what it is, Impala, Caprice, it doesn't matter. This thing is just going to be a game-changing, badass car.
I already know.
This thing's going to be way better than before. And the way better than before version gets really, really low on those big 2415s. Building a subframe just on the back of this car. So from the ground up to where the tires would bottom out with the air suspension, and then back down to catch the back of the bumper. 13. So we got our side profile measurements. Only thing left to do is drop this thing down, get some levels out on each side to know exactly how wide the body is. What's up? Dude, look at this.
No way.
We found the bullet hole, right?
Oh, man, that's a slug from it, huh? Damn. I wonder how long that's been in there.
It's like a 9mm.
Man.
I would hate been in the back seat.
It's been shot at. I wonder what else it was doing before it got here.
There ain't no telling.
Right?
Let's hold the level on the other side of the body.
Okay.
I'll hold it on this side. We'll get our measurement of exactly how wide this body is. Then we know how much room we got to work with. Right in the middle of the fender well. When you let all the air out of this thing, it's going to drop way, way, way low. Basically, the tire is going to sit in the window jamb itself. So we can't be off an 1/8 inch. You don't want to have the tire rubbing the body, and then you'll have a big paint blister where the paint was heated up from the tire rubbing. This is 75.5. We got our outside dimensions established. So now we're going to come in from our outside dimension to where exactly the tire is going to sit, and we'll come in 2.5 inches. Then we know with a couple subtractions exactly how wide this frame needs to be. That's what we got. The frame needs to be 35.5 inches wide. We're going to be putting 24, which is huge for anything, much less Impala. This thing is wide. So that is outer part to where the wheel mounts, 12 inches. To fit those big old 24 by 15 inch wheels, Jamie has to shorten the axle.
First thing I need to do is go ahead and drain the rear end before I start pulling anything else out. It's really important to keep all of the pieces right here together because there's shims in there. You don't want to misalign those shims because you'll start rubbing and wear your ring and pinion out. That's what I like to do, so I know I don't mix each side up, is I'll make a punch mark. 3 on this side, 2 on this side, so I never get mixed up. So next thing I gotta do is go ahead and pull this bolt. It's gonna release this pin right here. Once I pull this pin, then my axle should slide right out. So the clips right there is what holds the axles in the housing. A limited slip differential is basically lets both axles move freely so you're able to turn corners without the tires chirping. Burp, 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 burp. Now this is out, so I'm gonna take out 8 inches on each side.
I'm scribing the rear end to make sure it goes back perfectly the way it was. So scribing it like that, I can line up my mark to make sure the brake rotors are exactly clocked the same way. This is my last cut. Took 8 inches out both sides. Go ahead and bring it over the next side. Go ahead and weld it out. It's going on basically just like it came off, minus the 8 inches. I got everything squared up, lined up with my scribe mark. Basically, if this was out of whack, that would mean your axle would be crooked in there. That could wear out the bearings in here, the seals on the outside. So it's really important that this is perfectly straight. Everything's smoothed out. You can see my welds. Don't even look like they were ever there before. Looks like it came like this from the factory. It's perfect.
Our frame is going to be made out of 2x3 rectangle tubing, and we're going to lay that out on the table right here in exact measurements. Let's see what we got here. 45 degrees. Once we have our frame laid out on the table, we're going to make templates with our chipboard. Then we can take our templates right over to the saw. Bam, Timmy, it works good. We cut it one time and one time's on the money.
Now we have all the puzzle pieces cut for this frame. They line up right with the lines we made earlier. Now we have them all cut. They have these little birds on them here. What you do is come back, clean them birds off, and we'll put a little bit of bevel on each side, so it'll make like a valley for the weld to sit in. What that does, it'll let the weld penetrate all the way through, and you won't have a bunch of welds sticking up on top. It'll actually bend down into the metal, and make it look smooth, and get a good, real clean weld that gets all the way through.
Timmy did a great job fitting everything together. Everything looks 100%. That's exactly what we want. The gaps to fit perfect, beveled, nice, smooth, 45 degrees. You know, starting out with a good foundation, always 100% key. You know, I've been welding a lot of years. So is my dad, so is my grandpa. My welding pedigree goes way back. Owning a custom car business, you know, gets a little monotonous dealing with phones, emails, paperwork. All that really gets in the way of my true and creating. You know, that's what I love to do, and that's what I'm going to do till I'm not around anymore. You know, Timmy, even though this thing turned out being a Caprice and not an Impala, putting these big old wheels underneath that car, it instantly becomes cool, right?
You know, it might even be better than it's a Caprice. There's some cool Impalas out there. How many cool Caprices have you seen out there?
No doubt. If you're a Caprice owner, or if you're an Impala owner, you're going to be envious of this. Keegan, you ready for the day?
Yes, sir.
You know, as much as I achieved personally, there's nothing better than riding to work with my son, Keegan. He pretty much grew up around the shop. He has his own hopes and dreams, but he's coming to the shop with me a couple days a week, you know, just like my dad did for me. You know, you're out of high school now, going to college, just coming in day here and there.
Yeah, I'm really glad to, you know, finally do something instead of, of course, wasting my days away at home.
Hard work ethic, that's what I want to pass down to him. You're learning getting up every day, using that fire down in your chest. Set a goal, see it through all the way through the end, and do a good job.
No cutting corners.
No, sir. You got it?
Yes, sir.
Job one around here is making what the client wants. So we're going to turn this 96 Caprice right into the Impala that the owner wants, plus some. We cut the floor, installed a new custom subframe, and mocked up the suspension. So now Jamie's going to build the wheel tubs to fit those big 24x15s.
So you can see how big these tires are. It's a lot of wheel
In order to get this all the way up inside the wheel well, we're gonna have to cut a lot of this wheel well out. So basically I'm gonna bottom this out. We can actually see what we need to cut out inside of the car to bottom this big wheel up in there. Okay, so you can see I'm using this wooden block to kind of give me a guide right here. Just a quick little trick that I use just to trace out the wheel well to get the same dimension as the wheel here. I'm using an 1.5 inch block because I have 1.5 inch space in between bottoming out on my rear end. That's my little step to get it in there. I don't want to overcut anything. Okay, so I got these spaces right here, basically 1/4 inch between my tub and my wheel so it would never rub. I'm gonna go ahead and set my wheel tub on top. Got them mocked up exactly where I want to put them. Go ahead and pull these big old wheels off and pull my sheet metal to the edge of the body. Woo. So you can see the size of these tubs, the length of my arm. What I need to do is go ahead and add sheet metal to my tub to bring it out to the body. Just keep adding piece by piece, trying to get my rear quarters in first, then I'm gonna walk all my sheet metal this way, and then I'll tie in the rest on the rear tub. I chose to do it this way because trying to do this in one piece would be pretty time consuming, so I'm gonna go with quick and efficient.
While Jamie's finishing up the rear tubs, John's gonna get going on the custom door panel.
All right, looking at this door panel, it only has one line on it that I really like, and that's the separation between the top piece and the bottom piece. We're gonna keep this piece that matches up to the strip it, cut it up, and work off of that to make the whole bottom completely new. Step 1, cut it. Step 2, make it better. We're just gonna layer this up, make this 2 different pieces, put some lighting in it. All right, so I got all my pieces made. Start stacking it up. What we're gonna do with this piece of acrylic, we're gonna inset it in here so that all you're gonna see is just this top edge of it here. It'll all be covered up. We'll have the LEDs buried up inside of here. It's just to give us a little detail in the door and light it up. Got them all stacked up, so the next thing we gotta do, body work, is sit down and start sanding. Pretty much, we body work more than the body shop.
I don't move very often. I just sit here and do several hours a day, body working days at a time. I have no fingerprints left. This is what I do.
While Brian's over there in his world of body work, doing his thing, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the bottom half of the door. I'm gonna start by making this base panel. Then from that base panel, we'll take our baffle and build that up from there. And get that chip out. All the door panels are laid up, everything's ready to go. So the next step we're gonna do, start laying fiberglass. And after this, we go straight into body work.
Wheel tubs come up high, huh? Man, they are right there underneath the windows. That's a lot of tire to fit in there, but
yeah, man. We're making good progress at turning this 96 Caprice into a one-of-a-kind Impala.
You know, John's gonna build a crazy interior in this thing, and it'd be real cool to be able to have the whole interior flow all the way back and have all this open. How are we gonna do that? We cut this out, and John can build out all the way around it. You can see the enclosure. Be able to see all that nice and open. I don't think I've seen that before. It's gonna be cool, man. There's nothing structural about it now, and so cutting this out is not gonna affect anything. Just cut right on this line right here. Okay. And let's get this totally all the way to the hinges. There won't be another Impala like this. Nah, definitely not. So Bill just walked by and just glanced at this and just got an idea. It's pretty cool how he's able to just do that.
Removing the metal underneath the rear glass means you'll just see all the way into the trunk. All the custom box, speakers, amps, everything.
That's pretty cool, huh?
I think cut even more. Just cut this out.
Yeah.
I mean, the glass is right here. So
yeah, plenty of lip.
Might as well make it to there.
You know, I'm always pushing myself just to see what would make a build even better. It's definitely a blessing and a curse because it always adds time we don't have. But man, I don't want it any other way.
Looks good.
I'm actually glad we ended up doing this. Just looking at it right now, it looks so much better. It's unique. I'm really excited about this car.
We finished the suspension and metalwork on the 96 Caprice. Before we roll it into interior, Keegan and I are going to get on this exhaust.
What's up? The last thing we got to do before this thing goes over to the stereo shop is exhaust. So you can help me do that and get you a little experience under your belt. Sounds good? This is cool. This is the lowest point. This shaft is not going to come any lower this way. We can put the muffler as high up as we can, super close to the drive shaft, and we're good. I've been working here ever since I can remember. I've become really good at sweeping up floors and cleaning up around the shop and making it somewhat clean. We have to go around this transmission mount here and then go all the way over and tie straight into that. We use this to give us a little angle instead of just eyeballing it. It's always cool learning and working on stuff like this, putting this exhaust together with my dad. It finally gives me a little experience under my belt. This is what the angles we need here. Bend that, it should fit right on the money. You know, it's pretty cool to have my son up at work. Maybe pass down a couple things that my dad passed down to me. Stay on this side of it till the last minute when you can just reach over. Don't put your body on this side of the blade. It's a good feeling to be able to teach him a few things while he's here. If we build it in, that should fit on that perfect. Even underneath here, something simple as exhaust, you still want it to look good and be proud of what you do. Of course. You wouldn't want to have a nice, beautiful car on top, and as soon as you put it on the lift, it looks trashy. We did that. Yeah, exactly. It's hard to work with your dad. Okay. It does that when it's tight. You know, I used to hate working with my dad sometimes because we get into it a lot. Always thought I knew a better way to do it, which did. Man, that'll work. Got a nice little flow to it. Everything's tucked up underneath here. You know, the last little bit is just coming out of the muffler around, and then we'll dump it right here. Oh, cool. So you're actually not going to see them at the back of it. That's all it needs on this. And still have a real nice tone to the exhaust, too. You know, the closer you have the muffler to the end of the pipe, the more of a throaty sound. You know, this thing is super tight, so there's no way to really bend what we need to bend and make it clean looking. So what we'll do is use these manual bent pieces, and we'll chop out what we need and just build it piece by piece. I'm not going to force anything on him. If he loves doing this, cool, but I just want him to come to work and learn a skill. Look at that. Little jobs like this teach him discipline, work ethic. That experience he can use, you know, for the rest of his life. Cut that one. This is going to be on the very end of the exhaust. Saw that, and then just make the identical right here. Everything's all mocked up, looks good. Everything's tucked up underneath there. Has a nice flow to it. You did good today. So soon. Thank you.
Now it's up to John and Brian to hand build that custom interior.
Back again to my shop. Straight up. Straight.
So here's my thought, man. What if we did 313s right here, mount them far enough back? It'll still give us the idea of that depth back into here, but we're going to have to utilize every bit of airspace. So the box is going to have to be modular. The idea to really make this thing a game changer is to cram as much bass in this trunk as humanly possible. So we're shooting for about 11 cubic feet of airspace to give us the proper output and a smooth bass response. Oh yeah. That's going to be pretty impressive from this side, man. That does look kind of good. I'm thinking, let's do a window in the top of this thing. Right in the center, just something small, just so you can see a little bit of the motor structure in there, because the back of these woofers is going to be just as impressive as the sound on the front of them. But why not have windows in the back so you can see what's going on inside and show off a little bit of your hard work? Our pieces are probably going to have to be as wide as the bracing to hide the screws. So from the side, when you're looking, you don't see a screw sticking down through your acrylic. You can't just cut a hole and screw a piece of plexiglass to it. It takes a little bit more work than that. You got to have trim around it. You want to make sure it's nice and clean and neat. Short. We'll get that centered up, get that attached. If you're ready to start putting the top together on this box, we'll get all the rest of the pieces made on the back of this thing, man. We'll be good to go.
The four-door body on this 96 Caprice gives us plenty of room to build a badass, crazy interior.
We got the box in place, so what our next step is to make all the side panels that trim in over the wheel tubs and over all of the structure for the trunk.
Got some panels.
Do they fit?
I don't know. Probably not.
Oh. What we're doing right now is we're just going to get the base structure in place. Once we get the base structure in place, from there we'll take chipboards down to the wheel tub. That way it'll all be one big panel that'll slide out together. If everything was planned out properly and Brian did his part right.
Why you gonna blame me for it all?
Better you than me. We got all our pieces in here, all of our chipboards done. So now we're going to go in and reinforce everything with some fiberglass and some resin. Once it's dry, we can pull it out, and this will actually turn this all into one panel from the top all the way around the wheel tub. Get it body worked on top of that, and then we'll see if it comes out like a glove. Watch. You broke it.
Not yet.
Well, I forgot it. Look. You didn't have to redo it. Oh, yep.
Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that.
So what I'm seeing is we got to put all this in before they put the glass in. It'll go in from the front side. These panels worked out good. I'm glad they came out and didn't break. We don't have to fix anything.
Yeah.
So all we have left to do is everything else.
When this car was made, the defining difference between a Caprice and Impala was that side quarter glass. We cut out a couple of pieces from an old Impala quarter skin so we can turn this Caprice.
So I got a piece from another Impala. It's actually the proper window piece. Something that I need to pay attention to is a gap right here on the door for the window. So making sure this is in the proper place is very key. I'm trying to take this thing apart as easy as possible. So I cut out my panel. It's loose in here, but the spot tacks are still holding it. So I'm just going to lightly chisel in between to separate the panels. All right. I have these lines marked right here because my window's got to fit right here in these holes. So I need to make sure that it's on the money. Really what I'm focused on is this body line right here. Looks good. I'm going to put a few tacks on it. Fit my window, make sure my window's good. This piece is exactly where I want it. My gap's even all the way down. That's money, man. We'll go ahead and continue welding this out. Kind of spread my heat out evenly so I didn't get any kind of warpage in this panel because that could happen real quick. Okay, so you can see we went from Caprice to Impala. Got the panel welded in there. Everything's ground down. Everything looks good. So now all we got to do is take care. First thing I got to do is go ahead and just cut out the metal around this hole. Believe it or not, this is not the first bullet hole I've patched in cars. I worked at body shops, restoration, stuff like that, and I've seen some older cars, you know, like Bonnie and Clyde, that have had bullet holes riddled in them. You know, it's still the real Wild West out here in Texas. So you see, got the bullet hole out finally. Got my other piece already made for it. Same radius. Same. Gonna make that bullet hole disappear. Take it to the metal doctor. Okay, so I got the bullet hole taken out, new metal put in, it's ready for a little body filler. Chain mess with Texas.
With the bodywork being finished, this thing looks even better than a 1996 Impala. Edgar's painting it in a classic gloss black. Over in the interior, John and Brian are wrapping up all their hand-built parts in black vinyl and blue suede.
We have a good contrast of materials in here. We've got soft vinyl, shiny vinyl. We've got our suede. You got a lot of depth and some dimension to this. Check this out. Let's see. Oh, that with the lights down in the bottom pocket of the door, and the console, and the trunk.
It's gonna look like a UFO at nighttime.
Just a big black UFO with blue lights coming at you.
I'm clear over here.
Come down, and then back. Now that that's in, just a matter of following the puzzle and putting the pieces together. Get all three of the sub amps in it. There's a glare coming off the top of this thing up here.
Must be nice to have a whole head full of hair.
It is. There's a little over 10,000 watts going in this car, so this thing ought to scream.
I never met my grandpa, but hearing my dad talk about his dad and how hard he was on everyone to get up, go to work, he definitely passed that down to my dad, and I'm definitely passed it down to him. You know, a lot of times I hated getting up, going to work with him, but now, you know, I really, really do appreciate, you know, my dad showing me the ropes. That's one of the reasons why I make your butt get up and come to the shop and, you know, learn.
Constantly learning, constantly getting better at anything you do is really important. No matter what it is, either sweeping the floors or working on my dad, I've definitely taken it no matter what I do.
Not only did my dad teach me a craft, but he also taught me how to be successful. You know, maybe one day he'll be able to pass down the tools for success. You know, put your mind to something, accomplish the goals, and do it right the first time. We don't want no kids anytime soon.
Yes, I know. I know.
Grandpa, yeah.
I know.
It's been a long time coming. Pete's been dreaming about this Impala since the 90s, and today his dream is gonna come true. Pete said you wanted something cool, wanted to set this car totally apart from all the rest. I think we did our job, most definitely. We changed the Impala game.
What's up, Pete? Oh, nothing much, Bill. How you doing?
Man, all right, all right.
Got that call from this morning. You sounded pretty excited.
Yeah, man.
Can't wait to see it.
That car came in, it was hurting. We were throwing for a little loop, you know, halfway through the build, finding out that it was really a Caprice and not an Impala. But where we're at now, it doesn't matter. Caprice, Impala, you just got one cool-ass car.
Let me see it, Bill. Come on. Hey, where's it at?
Come on with it.
Damn, Bill. Look at that. Oh, that. Golly. Look at them big old wheels. Damn. That's exactly what I wanted. Look at them 15s. They all the way in there, Bill. Man, when I saw that thing go down and just swallow up that back wheel, that thing looked ridiculous.
How we do, Pete?
I mean, I'm still trying to pick up my jaw, man. God.
First thing you see, man, those huge wheels sitting low to the ground and the 2415 on the back of this thing.
Oh, yeah.
In order to get it all the way down, we cut the frame off right by the back seats. It's all new underneath there. Air suspension. Now that we're in, this thing a ride and drive better than a brand new car.
Didn't doubt, Bill, but I seen it as a heck of a project. But he did it. I've never seen anything like that before.
We went through this thing front to back. New bumpers, new light lenses, new everything. Clean, man.
Clean. That all blacked out look with the billet wheels just sets it off. And I love the idea of taking the emblems off. I mean, to me, it's not even an Impala anymore, Bill. It's a 2021 SS.
Somebody ask you what it is, that's what you're going to tell them.
That's what I'm going to tell them every single time.
And what was in there was just tired. Yeah. So I just said, John, here. Pete wants this thing one of a kind, and he wants it loud.
We got a total of 5 amps in this thing.
Wow.
Just on the subwoofers alone, there's over 7,500 watts. When it comes down the road, it's going to be quaking. Brian got down with the custom door panels on this thing, really went over the top. We have an 8-inch, a 6-inch, and 2 Pro tweeters in each door.
You turn this thing up, it will actually
literally hurt you.
Yes.
I don't know if I want to drive it first or hear it first.
You can do both of them at the same time.
So all that's going on in there, check this out.
Oh, man. What?
Rear deck is gone.
I see that.
Bill cut out the whole deck back here. We got it all tubbed out. We got the clean lines running the door panels, all just flowing to the back of the car.
Got it stair step down on those acrylic pieces with the lights shining in through. So when this thing is going down the road at night, it's got a blue glow coming out of it. Looks like a spaceship coming at you.
It already looks like a spaceship on the outside.
Check this out.
Oh, man. What'd you do? Put a motor back here?
That's the engine to your sound system right there, man.
We touched every inch, front to back.
Man,
Is that crazy enough?
I'm in love, Bill. Love at first sight. Thank you, guys, man. This is everything I could have dreamed of and wanted.
Killed it. Looking in this car, seeing all that blue, black, the lighting, the crazy stereo. I've not seen another Impala like this.
Awesome.